Ciao, paisans! Look who's back! Look who's back! We got a special episode today. We've got a flash news alert just ahead of maybe the biggest game of the Serie A season. Biggest game that we've seen maybe since a couple of seasons. We've got the Derby della Madonnina, Inter Milan, AC Milan at the San Siro. San Siro's coming down in a couple of years. Take it in while you can. Number 1 versus number 2. The Serie A runs through Milan, and we've got a hell of a matchup coming up on Sunday. It's your boy Logs. I'm your host here today with Vos, and we are covering, again, like I said, the game of the season, Vos. Game of the season.
A new bonus content here for the Paisans. Match previews. This is a big game. This is the biggest game of the season so far, and over the last couple of years, we've had some big derbies. Going back to last year, Coppa Italia semifinal. A couple of years ago, we had the Champions League semifinal. Like, this is legit. And just to set the stage a little bit here for how good these two teams are, like Luke said, number 1 and number 2. Taking it a little step deeper here, Inter are number 1 in goals scored in the league. Milan number 4. Milan are number 2 in goals against. Inter are number 4. Interesting matchup. And then going back a little historically, it has not gone well for Inter recently. And I did a little bit of research before this episode, before we started recording here, and it's even worse than I thought. Inter haven't won a derby since April of 2024, which is insane to think about. And in the last 5 meetings, 3 wins for Milan and 2 draws. In those 5 games, Milan have scored 9 goals, or have scored 4 goals. I mean, if there was a time to figure it out, like, this is the time. It's fully in their hands now. This is the game. Like, if they win this, that's probably the Scudetto. And to take us through the different scenarios here, if Inter win, they come out of the weekend with a 13-point lead. It's pretty safe to say the Scudetto's in the bag. If Milan win, they shrink the gap to 7 points, and then all of a sudden we have a race again. And then if it's a draw, like, still advantage Inter. They maintain a 10-point lead. I would still say probably in the bag. How do you feel about this going into the weekend, Logs? Is there a chance that Milan gets 3 points here? What do they need to do?
Not winning since before Calcio Culture was even intact is a wild stat. we haven't even been able to cover a derby when Inter has won. 9 goals in those games is astounding. We were there for 3 of them in the Coppa Italia semifinal.
Luka Jovic,
we've definitely had Inter's number over the last couple of meetings here. Kivu's second derby at the helm. The first one, I believe we drew
1-0. Yeah, no, first one was 1-0. Milan.
So Milan won the last one, 1-0. Definitely a barn burner. This I've had circle my calendar for a while now, for multiple reasons, and more so, I've added a couple of circles since the last couple of games. If we do not win this game, it is officially the season. There is no reason to watch, at least for the Scudetto race. Yeah. Inter will have that in hand. A 10-point lead with no head-to-head matchups for the rest of the season is a recipe for success for Inter. 7 points is a very different ballgame, a very different setting. That is not enough room for an Inter squad with a new coach who just last year bottled 3 competitions, all within a matter of 3 weeks. That's not a big difference for me. 10 points, big difference. 13 points, insurmountable by a long shot. 7 points, we have a ball game. I mean, it cannot be understated how big this game is for either side.
Yeah.
But of course, from an AC Milan perspective, I think the boys will be ready. The boys will be ready.
What I will say is, I think slight psychological edge from Milan, because if you look at the table, like, they need to win to, like, stay in top 4. Like, it's not just about winning to maintain the Scudetto. They are how many points clear here?
I think we're about 7 points clear of 5th.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Como's 48. We're 9 points clear of 5th.
Oh, yeah, so they're okay there. They're okay there. The other thing is, though, like, Inter, what is, like, the new thing? Like, must win versus can't lose. This is a can't lose for Inter. It's a must win for Milan. Like, you got to go for it.
It's both in the same, which is odd to see. However, I think I agree with you in the mental edge, because I do think that Inter has more to lose from this game than Milan does. Think about it this way. What is Inter's goal for this season?
Probably.
Inter's goal for this season was Scudetto or bust. Milan's objective for this season has been, and unfortunately has always been, and Allegri says it every week, top 4. Top 4. For Inter to lose this game puts their Scudetto race at a huge threat. For
Yeah.
Milan to lose this game, we're still 9 points clear of being out of the Champions League spot. We have the mental edge because we have less to lose. We have the mental edge because we are the clear underdogs. We have the mental edge because Inter is bad in these games. They cannot win the big games. They're coming off in the last couple of weeks a disastrous Champions League exit to none other than Bodo
Right.
Glimt.
Right.
That still stings. That still stings, and the momentum that you get from beating Torino in the Coppa Italia is not enough to get your head right here.
No, they just
I
played
do
Como
believe
and drew.
and you just drew a although playing at Como, not an easy place to play,
Yeah,
next
yeah, yeah.
right side of the lake,
Rotating,
you
rotating.
got a good view, fans are good there. In any case, I don't think that mental state for Inter and for Kivu is back yet. I still think it stings to be out of the
Yeah.
Champions League here. I still think that they feel down
Hey,
upon themselves, that they feel
they
slighted, they let themselves down.
and this is an Inter team that's historically weak-minded, which may have always
100%.
contributed to these big game things, but I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. And to kinda get into, like, a little bit of a game preview, Lokes, here. I think this is really interesting because 2 vastly different styles of play, like, as we know,
Very,
Inter
very.
are pedal to the floor attack. Milan have been defense first, and if we get a goal, we get a goal. And I think it's gonna be a really interesting matchup because Inter are in a place where they should probably approach this game conservatively. I don't think they're capable of doing that. They only have one way of playing. And on the Milan side of things, they kind of have to go for it. Like a draw is not good enough unless, I mean, this is actually a possibility too. Allegri just says like, "Oh, we're not going to lose. Like I don't care about Scudetto this year. We just got to solidify top four,"
He
which
doesn't.
could happen.
He
But
doesn't.
if they do switch things up, it'll be interesting to see what happens there because they did get a win playing a very specific way last time, and I would say they were kind of holding on by a thread for a lot of the game because Inter had so much of the ball was coming right at them, and they kind of got a lucky goal. But what do you anticipate this game going like? Do you think Milan is just going to do what they've been doing, and we'll see more of Inter doing what they've been doing?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, it really just it plays to both teams' strengths. Inter want to have the ball, and they want to have the ball in the opponent's half of the field. Milan don't care about the ball, and they actually want you to attack them.
right.
They want you to open up avenues for them to get a counterattack, get Leao out on the break, get Pulisic out on the break, have Modric play a long ball through. That's what Cortomuso is. Just take the heat, bend, don't break, and Inter's happy to bring the heat, and they will. They will. I think that this again. I'm a biased motherfucker, but this plays into the Rossoneri's play style more so than Inter, just because we're happy to have them have the ball. Inter is better when they dominate possession when the other team doesn't know how to not have the ball. Milan love that.
Yeah.
Porto loves that. Allegri loves that. And so will it take some luck to get a goal off of this Inter squad? Certainly. I think when you look at it line by line here, Inter's defense right now is as strong as it'll ever be. Opposite side of the ball, we've got some holes on defense on Milan's side. Bartesaghi injured. Purvis Estupiñán is going to be playing off the left wing back, that is. Teo Gabbia's out for a month. Tony De Winter is going to be playing at the center back role, where Gabbia's consistency, leadership, mental fortitude has been a huge help for the two maniacs that we have on the outside in Pavlovic and Tomori.
No, that's a
Right? So
good point. And I think the other thing is Coney was not the guy that played in the first tie earlier in the season. It was Gabbia. And Coney, to your point, has been pretty mixed bag, right? Very mixed bag with Coney this year, I would say. That could be a danger area. He could step it up, but I don't know. He's going to have to do a lot of important defending, and I'm not sure he's up for the task, which is, I think, one of the biggest difference between this game and the previous game that happened earlier in the season.
Well, you say a mixed bag from KDW, but the mixed bag comes from the fact that his offensive skills are phenomenal.
Right.
His defensive skills are subpar.
Questionable.
And in this game, he's going to have to showcase the defensive
Right.
side of the ball. There's just no question about it. And so I think that that's going to be a huge weak point in our defense, especially because Tomori and Pavlovic, for as aggressive as they are, as as decent defenders as they are, you need a guy like Gabbia to kind of hold down the four and keep them organized. Because when you have forwards like Marcus Thuram and Pio Esposito up front, those guys are going to break through any way they can.
Yeah.
You
I could
have
see
to be
Coney.
organized.
I could see Coney like struggling with the physicality of Esposito. Even Tomori, dude. Like Esposito versus Tomori and De Winter is a mismatch in my mind. That's like a little scary from a physicality perspective. I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I have like key matchups, and I just thought of that one right now. It's not written down anywhere.
Well, the thing about a key matchup here, the problem is that I think Pavlovic matches up well with Esposito, and
Yeah, right.
I think that Tomori matches up well with Thuram, but they're gonna be playing on opposite sides of the pitch.
Probably.
And, there's
Yeah.
no way to play man in that role.
No,
There's no
definitely
way to
not.
play man in this Corto Musso setup. So that's really going to be a huge disadvantage from a matchup perspective on the Milan side.
I think on the other side of things with the Bartesaghi injury, I think that one matters a little bit less because you're not dealing with Denzel Dumfries and it's
100%.
Purvis
Agreed.
against Luis Enrique. So I mean, I think I would just call that one even. Like it's kind of a wash. Purvis isn't really going to do a ton for you. I don't think he's necessarily going to do anything wrong. But
He's not a
like
liability on
yeah,
defense.
yeah.
He's just not great.
And he'll be able to handle Luis Enrique. And those are kind of like the changes from the first game on the Milan side of things. And on the Inter side of things, like obviously the Taro's out, but I think the biggest difference that could be a key to this matchup. Last game, it was Hakan, Barella, Sucic. In this one, I would guess we're going to see Zielinski out there instead of Sucic. And that's a really different player archetype in terms of if you're having a lot of the ball, you're in the final third, I would rather have Zielinski than Sucic, honestly. Like he has that final ball and he has that long distance shot that I don't think Sucic has in the same, not to say I don't like Sucic, but Zielinski brings you something different. And he also brings you Serie A know-how and has played in big Serie A games.
It all depends on how you want to neutralize Modric. Because I think the best way to go about it is to just have someone man mark him the entire game. So it's a matter of, do you want Barella to be on him the entire game and kind of take him out of your offensive force? And then it's totally fine to have Zielinski on the pitch. But if you think Barella is going to be the guy that kind of helps push the ball forward in front of Hakan, you're going to want Sucic out there man marking Modric. Hakan is not going to be the guy to man mark Modric.
No.
100% not. You also just need Hakan to be the facilitator, so there's no way you can have him dealing with Modric the whole game. So I think it just depends on what Kivu sees out of training this week as to who starts between Zielinski and Sucic. But that's what Kivu's problem he needs to solve is how do you neutralize Modric? Because at the end of the day, there's no way that our back three is going to be able to facilitate balls forward if we don't have Modric to be there. Rabiot can break lines on the dribble, but passing the ball through, not so much. Your defense has time to adjust to that, right?
Yeah,
there's there's no long ball there.
The other way that like you kind of nullify Modric is by having the ball. And if Milan's sitting a really low block, he's just not going to get on the ball very much. And I think they're going to have to try to come out of their shell a little bit to get the most out of him. But he's going to be a really important player. I think he's probably number 1 or number 2 on the Milan side of things if they want to get this done. I think on the Inter side of things, if they want to get this done, obviously like Hakan, honestly, I think is going to be really important in these games where like you're probably going to have a lot of the ball, distance shooting.
I think Inter need to be clinical in the final third. There cannot be. Yeah. I don't think it's. I mean, Hakan is going to be important. Every single player on the pitch.
Everybody on the field is going to be.
Let me not diminish the abilities of Hakan. Inter are going to have chances. That's just the fact of how Milan plays. Inter need to finish those chances. Right. They're going to get.
And they
3, 4,
they did
5.
In whenever it was, October.
Exactly. Yeah. But they're going to get 3, 4, 5 quality chances. That's just how we play. If you've watched a Milan game this year, every single team has been able to get a couple of shots per half on net. Mignon has a beautiful save. It goes off the post. Some source of luck hits Milan's side. Inter need to be clinical on the finishing, or else this is going to be a 0-0 draw, or Milan is going to get a breakaway. Pulisic, Leao on the break. That's how this game is going to go. If Inter is not clinical, if Inter does not take advantage of the, I would say, minimal amount of chances, even though 4 or 5 quality chances is still
I
good,
think it will be minimal. True.
It's going to completely change the dynamic here. If you leave the door open for the Rossoneri this season, they are going to bite you in the ass. And this is going to be, honestly, take first half draw here. If we're talking betting lines, take first half draw, because there's going to be two outcomes here. Number one, Inter score a goal in the first half, and then Milan are going to scramble for the rest of the game, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to get that goal back. I would even say that Inter get another one at that point. If this game is 0-0 at halftime, hear me out, 0-0 at halftime, we've got another 1-0 Milan win incoming, because this Inter team is going to get frustrated. They're going to get even less clinical than what I'm talking about right now in the second half, and Milan are going to just claw away. Full Krug, 89th minute header off of a layout back post.
When everybody with Inter's defense falls asleep.
Pulisic is going to fucking dribble through the entire defense. Akanji's going to have his head backwards, and then we're going to slot one home. That's how this game goes.
I think it's going to be a really entertaining game. And to kind of keep us moving here, there's a couple other really key matchups that when I was thinking about this game, I think are worth mentioning. And I think these could potentially be the keys to the game. And the first one I want to highlight is Federico DiMarco, because he's probably going to get Serie A MVP. Nobody has been able to stop him, and it's going to be him against Alexis Salamakers. This you can look out in two ways, and I'm curious what you think. Because for me, Salamakers has a ton of energy, which I think is really helpful against like a DiMarco. The other issue with Salamakers, though, when balls have been in wide areas and crossing positions, he has been very slow to close down and actually put pressure on. And if you do that against DiMarco, like he's going to deliver a deadly ball. So he's got all the things that he needs to do to go and nullify DiMarco. I don't think he will, because he's never had that like tenacity to go close down a ball. And against DiMarco, you got to go close it down. You know, DiMarco is probably the key to unlocking this Milan defense, because that's where Inter want to get the ball. He's been the best player on the team. He's probably been the best player in Serie A all year. He's the guy, and you got to stop that guy. I would think that Allegri's like, Salamakers, bro, like, this is the game. Like, it's you against him. You got to stop him. You got to run all over the place and stop him, because you know what he's going to do. And on the Inter side of things, they're probably looking at this like advantage us. I don't think Salamakers is going to close you down. I don't think he's going to have the legs to do it. He hasn't done it all year. And DiMarco, you're just going to fuck him. That's it.
Where I find promise in that matchup from a Milan perspective is if you go back and you've watched the two Roma games Milan have played, Salamakers has matched up against Wesley perfectly. And I would even go as far as to say that he beat out Wesley in both those matchups. And Wesley is most definitely the next best wingback in this league after DiMarco. I don't think that's a question from this season.
I don't know. It's a good question. I'll have to give that one some thought and get back to you.
We'll cover that next week on Monday for the real episode. But if that's any promise of what Salamakers is going to do to DiMarco, who has, I would argue again, less energy than Wesley, but
definitely less energy. Yeah,
definitely more technically inclined than Wesley.
100%. Nailed it.
I think then that it's going to be a fine matchup from a Milan side. However, where my concern comes in from is not when DiMarco's on the ball. It's when it's on the opposite side of the pitch, and Salamakers may or may not get called in to help double on a Esposito or on a Thuram, and then DiMarco's by himself on the back post, similar to how Dumfries has always succeeded in the past. That's where I think it could get a little bit lethal. A ball trickles out backside, DiMarco goes top corner, and it's game. Like that, I can just see it in my head. It's going to be bins, and I'm going to be crying my eyes out.
I mean, even one other thing to think about, do I think Milan will get into this position a whole lot? Probably not. But Salamakers versus DiMarco 1v1, I'm taking Salamakers all day.
Salamakers with the ball?
With the ball. Extremely direct, certainly. Tricky winger. Like I think that could be a handful.
But then you got to get past Bostoni, so it's like...
Yeah, I just don't know if he's going to get in that position all that much with how I foresee this game going. But the other matchup I do want to highlight again, and I think this is probably the biggest one in my mind, is I don't think Inter have anybody that can match up against Rafael Leao. Because if he's playing through the central area, which he probably will, you're probably not going to get a lot out of him for like 60 minutes. And in that position, he's not going to be effective. Last 30 minutes of the game, usually we see Pulisic come out, Füllkrug come in, Leao goes out wide. When Leao goes out wide, he's running at Bissek. That's a problem for Inter, definitely. When Leao gets into a wide area, there is nobody on this team that can cover that. And I'm interested to see if Allegri does anything different. And I'm interested to see if Kivu does anything different to try to like stop Leao. Because we talk about Leao inconsistencies, but in a game like this, all you need is one moment, and like Leao's the guy for one moment, I think, of anybody on this field in this game on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I think if we do weather the storm 60 minutes in and Füllkrug comes on, and, I actually would even hope that Pulisic doesn't come off and we go 4-3-3, which would be, quite the astounding look. Although,
Allegri has to prove he can coach at Real Madrid. He might have to go for it.
But we've been throwing that out there, especially if we're really going for it if we've been down a goal. I don't know if we'll be down a goal, but if you get a 1v1 with Bissek, as fast as Bissek is and as physical as Bissek is, Leao's going to put that ball 30 feet in front of himself and glide past any center back. There's not going to be any chance to be physical next to him, and there's no chance that you're going to be as fast as Leao, again, as fast as Bissek is. So if that's the case, again, like you said, one moment of brilliance, one streak, one flash, and Leao's gone, and then, who knows what he does. He slots it home near post,
misses it near post,
lays it off to Rabiot. Who knows? But that is incredibly dangerous. I agree with you. That is going to be a very interesting second half storyline to watch.
And to wrap things up here, one simple question for you, because I'm not going to handle this side of it. I'll handle the other side of it. Okay. One thing Milan need to do to win this game.
One thing Milan need to do to win this game.
Take your time.
It goes back to Inter being clinical. Take away the front two. No one's been able to do it. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but you take away that front two, and this is a very different Inter team. You're now forcing Barella to really get after it on the offensive side. You're looking at DeMarco going 1v1 on the outside. Luis Enrique maybe flash of brilliance on the dribble. I'd rather lose this game based on a DeMarco long shot, a Barella long shot, Luis Enrique on the dribble.
Then a DeMarco across to Thuram.
Rather than Thuram on the back post header over Pavlovic, who's way taller than Thuram, or a Pio Esposito through ball on one-on-one with Mike Mignon. Right? Like I can live with DeMarco beating us from 30 yards out. I can live with a volley from Barella. I can live with a flash of brilliance from Luis Enrique. I cannot live with Pio Esposito or Thuram getting their way in scoring the winning goal here. Because you know it. You just know that's going to happen. Right? You just know what's going to happen. For Inter, though, I keep saying they've got to be clinical. Is there another factor here?
I have 2 words for you. This is my key factor. 2 words.
His name Jan Sommer?
No, because he can't win the game. He can only lose the game. Different 2 words. Nicolo Barella. Where are you? Who the fuck are you, Barella? Where have you been all season? This is your chance. You can win the Scudetto in this game in a season where you've kind of been behind the scenes.
Not even
lack
second
of a better
fiddle.
word.
Fourth
fiddle.
fiddle.
No, not even close to second fiddle. I mean, you've been probably the 3rd or 4th best midfielder. Italy's got a big game at the end of the month. Get some momentum. Show everybody who the fuck you are. Like, we know who you are. You should be the best midfielder in the league like you have been for the last fucking 5 years. This is the game to do that. Milan's going to be in a low block. You're going to get a chance to have a weird volley with your left foot from 35 yards. Let's see you do it because we know you can do it. And if they get the most out of him, which, again, we haven't seen all year, that puts them to another level. And that is the key guy. When you look at all the matchups around the field, this is the guy that has been the guy for Inter for a very long time. And this is a game where you can do it in a year when you've not had a great year and come out of this, go to the national team, beat the shit out of everybody they play, get to the World Cup, keep it rolling. Inter need it. Italy needs it. Barella's going to be the guy.
I think it's a great shout. I think
score predictions. Score predictions. What do you think? I didn't even think about this until now, so I need a minute.
2-1 Milan. 2-1 Milan. I think first goal is going to be Inter. I'm seeing Luis Enrique. I'm seeing it in my head.
Just bodying Purvis.
Purvis is just gonna be. He's gonna have his undies on the pitch.
Glides my.
He's gonna have his undies on the pitch. But I do think Pavlovic scores our opening goal, and I love your shout on Leao. I think Leao has a stroke of brilliance in the last 15 minutes of this game, and I think we take 3 points and we're back in it.
I think it's 2-0 Milan. Rafael Leao brace. I think he's going to be such a problem. He's playing so good right now.
He's hot. I
just don't see Inter doing anything to stop him. He's going to get in the danger areas, and then that's what I think. I'm excited for this game.
Rafa Leao, friend of the pod. Rafa, stay away from rooftops before this game. I need full effort. Although the last time I saw Rafa on a rooftop, he won 3-0. They won 3-0. Their shout out Luka Jovic. Paisans, that's a wrap there. This has been a phenomenal episode. Great match preview here. I'm excited for Sunday. Let us know your thoughts. I need score predictions. I need your keys to the game. Let us know on all the platforms, X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at Calcio Culture FC. Who knows? I think we need a little bit more Inter input. I'll shoot you down anyways. Some Milan fans come out of the woodwork. But guys, let us know what you think. And this episode will be not live on all your streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Pods. Vos, it's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. Guys, if you're still here, make sure you click that follow, click that like, click that subscribe, click that 5-star review. And with that, Paisanos, just don't be a gagoots. Forza Calcio Culture.